ready to rock it. And I think it's as simple as that. I mean, silver is interesting because as people gradually realize that the dollar is going down and other fiat currencies are going down with it, we're coming to the end of the fiat currency era after, 53 years. As they gradually realize that, I think they will also realize that a gold-silver ratio of 90, well, technically, you could say that it's a healthy correction, but I think that's the wrong way of looking at gold. It's not gold going up, it's the dollar going down. And it's not just the dollar. The dollar is the best, or if you like, the most important of the fiat currencies. Dollar goes down, the others go down as well. At the moment, the race to the bottom is being won by the dollar, but I'm sure that'll change. That'll turn around. So I think that's the way to look at it. So any fall in the price of gold, in other words, rise in the value of the dollar relative to gold, I think is severely limited. I wouldn't rule out a bit of volatility. I mean, they're trying to get it down as we speak. They've sort of managed to get it below 3,300 for the second time in 2 days. But, yesterday, when, which was the 8th of July, and this was when all the trade tariff agreements were meant to be announced, or, America was just going to say, well, these are the rates and so on and so forth. Okay, it's been postponed a little bit and they're mucking around with it. But they're trying to get gold down, sort of trying to get a positive spin for the dollar. Just don't buy it. I mean, it's complete nonsense. What is going to change? Nothing. And furthermore, the dollar is in a debt trap, and that debt trap is being sprung shut, and there is no escape. Well, there is an escape. But politically, it's completely implausible. The idea that you cut spending. We've got a spendthrift president. His business background is real estate. What does he want as a real estate guy? He wants lower interest rates. He'd quite like a lower dollar because that would suck in the tourists, or whatever the argument is. So he turns around and tells Powell, "Get those rates down. We want to see the dollar lower." This is real estate man talking. I mean, and his big, beautiful bill, another God knows how many trillion of dollars. And that's probably a base figure, actually, rather than the end figure anyway. So, I mean, he's just destroying the currency. And not only that, but the tariffs undoubtedly are putting the world into recession. And when the world goes into recession, the tax take to cover the debt, if you like, to theoretically cover the coupons on the debt, will diminish. So you have debt increasing while tax drops. That is a debt trap. You can't finance the debt. And they're already having problems rolling it over. So I think that's where we are. Where we are. I mean, I really do think that any dip in the gold price, you will find central banks, Asian families, all the rest of it, will be in there picking it up. And of course, the way they're doing this, if they can do it in London, fine. But otherwise, they're just standing for delivery on Globex, which is the international facility on COMEX. And I mean, the amount of gold being stood for delivery is just increasing and increasing and increasing. I mean, since April the 2nd, which was Trump's, Liberation Day, over 250 tons have been stood for delivery. Where's he going to come from? Not America. I mean, they're cleaned out quite quickly. So it's at the moment it's coming out of COMEX falls, but really, I think that the system, basically the gold derivative markets, are entering a crisis, because you have to ask yourself, all the gold that went into COMEX, where did it come from? Some of it was leased gold that came out from the Bank of England. What do central banks do under those circumstances? They see their leased gold has flown the coop, because it's not their property while the lease, while the lease is in force, as it were. Their gold is gone. Are they going to get it back? Well, there's a big fear that they won't. And consequently, What do they do about leasing in future? No, thank you. We don't want to lease any gold anymore. And furthermore, some of them are going to say, we want to repatriate our gold. Can we bring it back? Bank of England, put it on the next plane. So the liquidity has gone out of the market. And those bare positions, if you like, in London, long positions in New York with all the bullion that flowed over, a lot of that's going to be reversed. And the ECB is even worried about it, which interests me because I was a lone voice saying, watch those stands for deliveries. And the ECB, in a document released, I think, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, said exactly the same thing. Stands for delivery on COMEX are basically taking all the gold away, and it's replacing gold in Europe with derivative positions, which increased 58% in the first quarter of this year. They're worried that these derivatives are now presenting a systemic risk, particularly since it replaces real bullion, which was otherwise stored in the Bank of England and elsewhere. So this is quite a serious issue, and I can understand why, at the margin, the bullion banks would want to get bullion down, measured in whatever currency. They want to get it down. Why? Because they want to get as much of it as they possibly can. We're all buyers of bullion now. I mean, and this is not really properly understood. So that's my answer to whether gold is going to continue to consolidate, and is it going to sort of come off a bit? Well, I tell you what, if it comes off a bit, fill your boots is the answer. The level of warehouse stocks in COMEX increased in silver at the same time as it did in gold. The difference is that warehouse stocks in gold have actually begun to decline, basically, as stands for delivery have been enacted. Now, the silver position hasn't declined. That is still pretty much at the maximum level of something like, I think, 500 million ounces, I mean, off the top of my head. And that is interesting. In other words, I think what the new owners of silver are doing, having stood for delivery, is that so far they've been leaving it in the COMEX warehouse system. Now, having said that, we don't actually know this for certain. It could be that silver is still going into the COMEX system. I mean, there's a delay in getting silver through, let's face it. So, there could well be some silver still going into the warehouse system, even though the premiums on the futures are no longer really there. So that could be holding it up as, and covering, if you like, any withdrawals. But I think from the point of view of the new owners of silver, they're probably in less of a hurry to take it out of the vaults than new owners of gold bullion. I think that might be part of the explanation. I mean, silver is interesting because as people gradually realize that the dollar is going down and other fiat currencies are going down with it, we're coming to the end of the fiat currency era after, 53 years. As they gradually realize that, I think they will also realize that a gold-silver ratio of 90, which it is roughly, is completely ridiculous. There is no premium, if you like, for its monetary use or its monetary qualities in the price. And not only that, but this is a background of 5-6 years of supply deficit, only matched, according to the Silvers Institute, by, if you like, sales or liquidity coming out of investment stocks. So, and also the industrial use of silver is just expanding and expanding and expanding, particularly with photovoltaic cells. I mean, they are everywhere now, absolutely everywhere. And China, of course, I think, makes something like 90% of them. India wants to get in on that act. So you can see that the demand for silver on an industrial scale is enormous and growing. And I'm sure that higher silver prices, as far as the photovoltaic cell industry is concerned, will basically make them use silver more efficiently, if you like. So I don't see price really being a hurdle to them. Technically, it also looks very, very good. So, the chartists among your viewers, get out the chart, have a look at how the silver is performing relative to the moving averages. It's come out of a fairly long period of consolidation and is ready to rocket. And I think, it's as simple as that. It's also, for people who feel they've missed gold, which is, if you like, an indication of their lack of understanding of what's going on. But if they want to get onto the gold bull market, then silver is a cheap way in. 90 ounces to 1 of gold. You've also got the potential that this could drop to 50, say, which means that silver would really outperform gold from here on. So, if you really want to get back into gold, having missed it, then, buy silver and then swap it for gold once the gold-silver ratio drops to a level which you think, is more sustainable. Yeah, basically the system doesn't work, if you like, in favor of the people who elect the system. The system, I think, is in a sort of situation where it is actually almost anti-productive. Now, this happens throughout history. You have times when governments just have completely lost the plot, and that's where we are now. It's not just America. Look at Europe. Brussels hasn't got any plot at all worth mentioning, other than the self-aggrandizement of the individual politicians, and also the permanent staff who just want to continue the situation. It's a wonderful gravy train, one. B, it's got so complicated to do anything that you don't get anywhere. They've had audits. No, they haven't had audits because they sacked the auditor because the auditor kept on saying we can't do an audit. That was a long time ago. I think it was a Danish lady. And of course, in America, we all want to know, how much gold America has got. What happens? We can shout from the top of the hills, God's sake, go and do an audit of the gold. Never happen. Never happen. The system knows how to protect itself. And it's just completely lost the plot. The idea that they represent people. You come to an election, they make all sorts of promises, but then, it's back to business as normal, as you say. So there isn't a solution. I think eventually the fiat currency system will collapse. And I think we are actually in the end game of fiat currencies. The collapse of fiat currencies undoubtedly will change things. Whether it'll be for the better or worse, I don't know. Only time will tell.
And there you have it. Alasdair Macleod's deep dive into what's really driving gold and silver right now. If his analysis is right, we could be approaching a major turning point. This isn't just noise, it's a signal. And smart investors are already paying attention. So if you found this valuable, do us a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon so you're the first to know when critical updates like this drop. Thanks for watching. And remember, stay informed, stay ahead, and stay protected.